Volsogard Enterprise. Improving everything.
Game engines have branding issues, and in this particular topic, I'm gonna be covering Unreal Engine since I'm an expert when it comes to Unreal Engine. I've been using it for long years, and the reason for this is because game engines such as Unreal Engine, Unity, Godot, and CryEngine, etc., and other game engines, while as the name says, they are game engines, right? They were made specifically in order for people to use them to create games, right? Yeah, that's completely fine. However, something like 10-ish years ago, things have changed a little bit, and game engines have started being used for so-called enterprise projects. And enterprise projects, they are basically all the projects, all the applications that are not video games, and that was covered like under a single umbrella. And nowadays we have ArcViz, pre-visualization, virtual production, digital twins, metaverses, etc., etc., etc. And the first case that I personally remember, but I could definitely be wrong, where game engine was used for enterprise project was in 2012, I think, when Unreal Engine 3, back then it was still called UDK, was used for architectural visualization. And I can definitely see and believe that there were other different tries and experiments with usage of game engine for something other than basic game development. And nowadays the problem is still persistent, because for some reason game engines are, well, still labeled and considered to be game engines primarily. And that's a big issue in my opinion with branding, because I believe that with the use cases of not just Unreal Engine, although I'm like always advocating and recommending Unreal Engine, but in general like Unity, Godot, and other game engines out there, like the use cases for game engines in general are so vast, so wide compared to years before, because while the technology allows us to use them in different industries. And I saw this opportunity years ago when I was still using 3ds Max with something like V-Ray or Corona rendering engine, and those are offline rendering engines, so-called offline because you press a button, you render, and once your scene is rendered, then you can use it for still images, for videos, for animations, movies, other things, 360, etc. And I've seen that game engines, they are exclusively real-time rendering engines, because, well, games have to be played real-time. That's like a no-brainer. And I've seen that game engines at that time, like 5 years ago, were still lacking the realism of so-called offline rendering engines. But with the advancement in hardware and in general with the advancement in computer graphics, I've seen that it's inevitable. The realism is gonna come sooner or later. It was a matter of time. So that's why I made shift earlier. And I'm gonna cover that in a separate video, why I made that shift, that decision. But nowadays, like I said, we have so many use cases for game engines with different industries that I've already covered. And I think that game engines should actually be labeled and treated more like general purpose 3D real-time rendering engines. Yeah, that's a long label, could be shorter, could be more specific, but I would definitely not call game engines the game engines, okay? Because they are much more than that. Like, even I personally, when I need a tool for some data automation, I would write a program in Unreal Engine. That's how I would make it. It's not just a video game. And video games themselves, as a medium, as an industry, they are much different, much wider than before. We have different genres, different platforms, different styles, different universes. With the emergence of metaverses and things like digital twins and Internet of the Things stuff, things are being combined, and in some cases it's tough to draw a clear cut what's a video game, what is not, what is something other than that. But anyway, the only thing, not necessarily the only thing, but the main thing that is common is that rendering process of all of these applications that I have mentioned and didn't mention are real-time rendering, which is happening while real-time, frame by frame, instantaneously, almost instantaneously. And yeah, that's the point of this video, is to, well, draw some attention when it comes to game engines branding. Game engines are not just game engines, they are capable for much more than that. And yes, that covers this topic. Game engines are no more, they are general purpose rendering engines. Whether that would be 3D, 2D, doesn't matter, but they are general purpose rendering engines. Thank you for watching.